Within the hour, a federal judge is stepping in to block President Trump's firing of this woman, the Federal Reserve governor. President Trump announced his intentions of firing Lisa Cook in late August over mortgage fraud allegations. The ruling allows for Cook to stay in her position for now as she fights the administration's efforts to fire her. So far, we have not seen a response from the administration.
Leaders in McCook still have questions over the planned immigration detention facility dubbed the Cornhusker Clink.
In a release, officials in McCook say they've reached out to representatives from the Department of Corrections as well as the governor's office with questions after the announcement. Some questions raised by officials in McCook had to do with public safety and security, like who is handling safety outside the facility? Also, how will this facility impact the community and how will detainees be transported to and from the facility?
Now, this latest round of questions comes just a few days after the governor's office responded to those in a letter sent by 13 state senators. In that release, the governor's office said the state constitution gives the governor the power to convert the camp into an ICE facility and said the people detained in this facility will have minor criminal records or nonviolent felonies. Right now, we're told the facility in McCook is at 84% capacity. The current camp can house 200 inmates, but the plan is to make room for closer to 300 detainees. To find all of our previous coverage on the planned facility, head to our website, firstalert6.com.